Evening. It's Saturday, the 3rd of November, 2018. And I just wanted to record this rant because I was just watching a video that, I don't know, it just really got on my nerves. It was about this guy who was he was working in a music studio or no, music store. And he, this is totally off the cuff, so I don't have anything scripted or anything. So if I go a little meandering in the subject, please excuse me. Anyway, so this guy, he had this job working at a music store, and he was talking about how he had a customer that came in after the boss told him, you can't say any guitar is bad at all. And this guy, long story short, came in and wanted to buy a guitar, and he had a choice between $100 guitar and $1,000 guitar. And so the guy who made the video, he said, well, here's what I told the customer. I said that this, you have the $1,000 guitar, which will be a family heirloom. It's made from the best materials. It's the greatest thing in the world. And then you have this $100 guitar, which is a campfire guitar. And the guy was like, why is it a campfire guitar? Well, because you play it on a campfire trip, and then you throw it in the fire when you're done. So the guy decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to buy the $1,000 guitar. And honestly, it wasn't a joke. I at first thought it was a joke. The guy was just joking. No, true story. And that pisses me off. You know why? Well, one, I'm on a fixed income. I'm not rich, not by any standard. And hell, I don't even monetize my YouTube channel because I really don't want to make any money doing this. This is not, my life's pursuit. With my health, I've got a limited amount of time left, and I'm really honestly not worried about it. But one thing that really pisses me off is I've seen all these people come along and they discourage new guitar players because they put this in their head, this stupid notion that you have to have the most expensive guitar in order to be good. And you know what? That's just total 100% bull. It is just bull. You don't need an expensive guitar. I've got some names for you. Johnny Cash, Jimi Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Eddie Van Halen, Elvis Presley, The Edge from U2, Billy, I forget his last name, from Green Day. He plays one of the cheapest guitars there is, Les Paul Jr. And then there's Kurt Cobain. These people are all multi-millionaires, or they were. Well, some of them were alive. And they made it on cheap, crappy, or whatever they could dig up. A cheap guitar isn't always a bad guitar. A lot of times you're paying for a name. Sure, there's some better electronics in some of them, and there's such a big difference between some of them. But you, as a guitar player, can learn on a cheaper instrument. You can learn from a cheap Squier, Fender Squier. You can learn how a Stratocaster works. You can learn how to set intonations. You can learn how to customize the height of the strings to your playing. You can learn all that stuff. And you don't have to worry about this big, huge financial risk of, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Am I going to mess up my guitar? No, you don't have to worry about that. And I'm telling you honestly, it builds much more character and you build much more skill playing on a cheaper guitar first and then eventually getting the more expensive stuff. Because those guys I mentioned, Jimi Hendrix, Jimmy Page, Johnny Cash, Elvis, The Edge, they all made it on cheap guitars. They didn't have these expensive, hyper expensive $1,000 guitars. A lot of them couldn't even afford it. Elvis lived in what's called a shotgun house, which is a house with the living room on the front, and then you got to go through the bedroom and then through the bathroom to get to the kitchen. It's all in straight shot. It's the poorest of the poor live in those houses, ramshackle houses. And he couldn't afford expensive equipment. And look at what he ended up living in. So when it comes down to it, if you're a guitarist and you're watching this and you've watched any of my videos and you've watched any other videos too, don't buy into this garbage that you need an expensive guitar. You see the one that's on the screen? I'm getting that exact guitar in a few days. It's coming through FedEx, and hopefully they don't destroy it on the way. I just picked up another one, which is an older model of that, which is that one's a GRX 70QA. I just picked up one the other day for $75. That's an older model of that called the GSA 60. And you know what? I made a few videos with it. You know what? It sounds awesome. $75 and the guitar sounds amazing. I love it. It's one of the best playing guitars I've ever owned. And I can't wait to get this one that you see on the screen in my hands. You know, and I've owned Fenders. I've owned Gibsons. I've owned the most expensive guitars. And you know what I like to play? I like to play these. Why? Because there isn't that risk if something goes on. Plus, I can modify it. I can change it around. And there isn't a huge investment. I enjoy what I do, and I do it on cheap guitars. Don't let anybody, if you're a guitar player or you're interested in playing guitar or anything like that, don't let anybody tell you that you need an expensive guitar to make it or to be a good guitar player. Because honestly, if you can play on the cheaper stuff with the challenges there, you're an incredible guitar player. And a lot of the people, like I mentioned, I don't mean to repeat myself over and over again, but a lot of people who made it, they made it on cheap equipment. So don't let people tell you that you need expensive stuff. You don't need it. That's all there is to it. Have a good day and keep rocking no matter what.